Okay, hello everyone and welcome back. So we're on our lesson 4, I think it is now. So last week I introduced some more an artist, Jeanette Barnes, who uses lots of expressive mark making. We watched a video of her talking about her work, and then one that showed the expressive marks that she used and how quickly she draws, rubbing out, removing marks, erasing marks, putting them back in again, and then maybe using lots and lots of marks on top of each other until she finds the right one that she's looking for, with an emphasis, I think, as well on continuously observing and looking. So looking and drawing, looking and drawing, looking and drawing. So look at your drawing and then looking at the subject you're working with as well at the same time, but constantly working between those things in order to really search out all the details and all the interesting parts of the picture as well. So we're going to have a look. I'm going to show you a few other artists. Now, I posted these in the email recently, but I've got some on the screen to show you. So if you managed to start doing this exercise last week, which was to work from Jeanette Barnes' work, then I've got a few others for you to have a look at today. But the next task we're going to do is work from some photographs and take some of the ideas that we've learned from looking at these artists and transfer those new techniques and new ways of working into drawing from a photograph. Okay, so I'll remind you of what we looked at last week, and indeed you remember that I was drawing the picture that Jeanette Barnes made of King's Cross, and I put that onto a sheet of A3, and I've been using charcoal. I've also got some really nice Conti crayons, which I'm going to be sort of working with today as well, which is compressed charcoal mixed with clay to make them slightly harder or softer, depending on the amount of that that's put in there. Okay, so we'll go over and have a look at the wall. So here's Jeanette Barnes's drawing that we were looking at last week, and you can see one of the interesting things that she mentions is how building up these marks and removing them and making mistakes and then going back and altering them is a really important aspect of the way she works. And one of the things that she pointed out was the fact that even after the work has been framed, she often gets this strong urge to want to work back into the work even more, adding even more layers upon layers of mark making on top of each other to explore the subject further. So a lot of her work is not created and then finished. It's more a case of it's worked over a series of sometimes months and months, but then revisited, and that includes revisiting the site, observing more things, recording them either in her memory or onto paper using these lovely mark making skills that we've been talking about, and then bringing those back to the drawing. And you'll remember seeing on the video how absolutely gigantic these drawings are, and it's really exciting to see that layered effect, and then using a rubber or a putty rubber to erase areas and then revisit them and put in that detail again. Okay, so fantastic contemporary artist, Jeanette Barnes there. Now, a few other artists then that I've got for you today. So the first one is this one. This one's by David Bomberg. And then we've got Frank now I can't say this one very well. Auerbach, I think it is. Auerbach, another interpretation of architecture. And Leon Kossoff, who is quite famous for his pictures of swimming pools and things like that with loads and loads of people in them. But here you can see, again, architecture and a different approach and again a different way of seeing the world, which is wonderful Okay, and then another one which I was quite keen on and I found quite a lot of stuff on is David Creffield as well. So we'll have a quick closer look at some of these ones. So let me see if I can make this one a little bit bigger. I'm just going to bring it to the top. So David Creffield. So similar sort of work in many ways, but the marks are very different. We've got lots more. The vertical lines on the buildings are more curved and perhaps I wouldn't say more animated, but they've got much more angles in them, and you can see the smudging of perhaps a chalk or the charcoal on there, and then you've got these lovely highlights coming through. So again, building up those marks in response to what you can see in front of you. And I would suggest as well working quite rapidly so that there's not, you're analysing the work, but you're also letting your hand do the guiding or your eye doing the guidance when you're recording. And then accepting the fact that you're going to make some mistakes and you're able to correct them with the charcoal as well. So a really lively and energetic approach from David Creffield, and you'll find lots of that work online. And again, we go over to Leon Kossoff, as I said, quite a well-known artist again. And we can see it's again slightly very similar in that we've got all these lovely angles and distorted perspective in there as well. It has the perspective in the lines that go towards a vanishing point, but we've also got the whole composition at sort of a diagonal angle, which again sort of creates a different feel to the picture and that a different kind or a similar kind of energy, but with these different angles on as well. So you could have a look at copying one of these today. If you haven't got a printer or something like that, then I suggest bringing it up on screen and working directly from the screen is a really good idea there. And then we've got Frank. I'll just move that one over there for a second. I'll put it there actually. I've got enough room. And the next one is Frank. I'm just going to call him Frank because I can't say the name very well, if I'm honest with you. So let's just have a closer look at Frank over here. So this one reminds me a bit of the sculpture that was mentioned in the video last week at the Olympic Park during the 2012 Olympics. So you've got this really gorgeous overlapping structure. There's a staircase going up, I think, through the whole of the thing there. I'd love to know what that structure was, but again, we're taking ideas from architecture to build this picture up. If we go right in close, you can see that he's actually drawn on a different surface as well, which is something we could explore a little bit later too. So there's newspaper or newsprint on there, and that in itself gives you a sense of the scale of this particular drawing. The other thing that's interesting about this one is we've got some areas of white in here. Now, whether that was purposeful or it was accidental, I don't know, but it certainly adds something for me to that picture. And then finally, I'll just move that one over there. Finally, we have David Bomberg. So let me make that one a bit bigger. We can have a closer look at that one. A little bit, not such a high quality picture, but it does remind me of the first one we looked at from David Creffield, in that we've got these white streaks going through the architecture to add highlights into the picture. So I may be taking some ideas from that for the work that I do this evening. All right, so we've got some different artists to look at, and you can have a look at the folder with these in on the drive to help you explore some of these, or indeed, you know, you might look yourself on the internet and see what else there is out there that might inspire you. Okay, so let's just have a look at a few examples of the photographs that that I'm offering up for your exploration. So we've got a train station, a busy train station. We've got this one, a double exposure of a street, and finally a street sketch of oh, that's my streets. That's my sketch. Let me just find the other one. I think I've only got two on there actually at the moment. So these are examples of the kind of thing that I've chosen anyway for us to have a look at. So let me just see if I can make this one a bit bigger. Over here, the train station. So, I chose this one because it's got lots of atmospheric perspective here. You've got the really nice long shadows, so you could see perhaps how this could turn into something that's a little bit more abstract in itself. We've got really nice perspective from the train and the shelter above, or the train station, and then the atmospheric perspective is how things are getting smaller towards the back, but also more faded as well. So there's quite a lot to explore in a photograph like this, and you'll see that I've also put pictures of people on the underground and so forth. Okay, so there's pictures like that you can access on the drive, or I think I searched for black and white photographs. Oh, we've got somebody coming up. There you go. Black and white photographs of city scenes with crowded people. So that's what I searched for in order to sort of find these sorts of pictures. Over here is the one that I just picked one up, and I thought, right, whatever I look at, I'm going to have a go at exploring today when I was at the class at Rawn's. So this picture, as you can see, is just really intense because we've got all of these vertical lines from all the windows, and I think there's posters and things on there, and then we have got lines of perspective running through the whole picture. So I've worked extremely loosely and very quickly to make an interpretation of this particular photograph. So that was the one I accidentally popped up a few minutes ago, which I've got on my desk as well. So I'll put that on screen, and you can see how far I've got with it so far. So I've just used charcoal and Conte crayon here. Conte crayon, you'll find, comes out much darker. Oh, there's Brian as well. But as you can see, I've not gone for every single detail being absolutely perfect, but what I have done is look for the lines of perspective running through the picture, as well as the vertical lines, and I've worked extremely loosely, and I've also sort of smudged areas, and I've started working in with a rubber as well. So I'm going to keep building up the detail in this. The other thing I should mention is that I've used some white. You can either get a white charcoal, or if you've got a white chalk, you can add white chalk just to bring out some of the highlighted areas. And you can see I've started adding in some of the shadows that you can see on these figures here, if not a little bit darker than on the original. So the idea is that we try to work a little bit more loosely and try not to be too precious about getting everything so perfect. It's more about your impression, your personal impression of what you're looking at and what comes through your hands. So not being too overly precious and predictable as far as having an intention to look exactly like the photograph. So this is more about this picture here that I'm working on. It's more about understanding the nature of the photograph, capturing some of the atmosphere, and also some of my own personal reaction to the picture as well. So there's lots. I still want to work on this one this evening and build it up much more, and you'll see me doing that in a few minutes. Okay, so if we go over to the desk, there's the picture that I was doing last week, just there. So as you can see, I've pretty much finished most of it. If you're working on something like this, I can't remember exactly, but I think a few of you were. Um, I looked for things like these very faint lines of perspective running on the floor. And rather than thinking, oh, I must get this exact figure right here and that one there, I was trying to work around it as if I was getting a feeling for how Jeanette Barnes had worked on the image. So if we look closer here, you see it's just so intense. There's so many marks there. With putting in figures and things, it's more a case of, oh, there might be a figure here, so I'm going to put those lines in around here. The other thing to remember, of course, is that this drawing in itself is massive. It's huge, and she worked on it for a very long time to achieve these results. So try to be aware that your drawing shouldn't look exactly the same as the artist has done. It's your impression of it that's important, and just to explore the marks and things. And continuously keep looking at the subject, looking back at your work whilst you're working. So try not to stop, be continuous about the way that you approach it. You may find it easier, of course, to work out where the lines of perspective are. So you could use a pencil to begin with, just to work out where things are going. And then when you're ready and you feel comfortable with, knowing roughly where things are, I would then start to do this idea of looking, drawing, looking, drawing in a continuous sort of fashion. So I've got the photograph here. There's the photograph that I'm working from. I'll put it on the screen as well in a few minutes. And I wanted to show you these because I love these because they look so great. That's about it, really. Apart from the fact I like the shape of the sticks and things like that. If you've got any Conti crayons, they're a joy to look at, but also they come in different softnesses. It's quite hard to tell what the softness is without putting them up against the light, but I can just about make out here. I've got a really soft one, which is a 4B. And then they go, obviously you've got the range, just like with pencils, but some are harder and some are softer than others. So these particular ones are round, but I've also bought some that are square in shape. I've got more of a cubey sort of shape on there as well, and these will have different softnesses too. But willow charcoal, which comes in boxes like this, is also really nice because it's so light and you can sort of put your marks down nice and gently. And they come out mostly grey, and then when you start working with your Conti crayons, you'll see that they're a bit darker. Now, if you haven't got Conti crayons, you've only got willow charcoal, that's absolutely fine. In fact, I did have somebody who decided, I'm just going to try out some other stuff and put some biro pen with it as well. So just be open to the fact that you can use other things, but at the same time, try and work with this idea of creating the marks and things. So let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. I can't zoom out far enough because I've done this drawing quite large for this particular piece of work. So this is about the best I can do, apart from if I just move it down, but I have to watch that I don't pull everything off my desk because it's quite a big, it's about A2 sort of size, and I've got another half over there. All right, so I'm gonna keep going with this piece, and you'll be able to see how I work as I do it. So I'm not going to be doing it very slowly. I'm just gonna keep going with the idea of drawing and putting the marks on and building up the surface. So I'm hoping that I can build this surface up so it's really quite intense, more so than perhaps even the photograph that I've got here. So you can see me here cutting up the rubber that I was using. So that's a Windsor, I think it's a Windsor and Newton. Windsor, yes, it's a Windsor and Newton putty rubber. It's an extra large one, and basically I cut it up a little bit smaller so that I didn't end up getting graphite all over or charcoal all over the whole thing. So I'm just using a little bit at a time here. That's the book that I got Jeanette Barnes from, the artist. So you'll see me working, I'm removing areas, I'm adding more detail. Partly I'm adding my own ideas into this as well. The photograph itself that I'm working from, that you can see just down there, is actually distorted or kind of abstract anyway, because it's a double exposure. So well, it might be just a repeated photo that in layers in Photoshop or something that's been moved slightly to create this layered and blurred effect. So I'm taking that idea of all the lines in the building being kind of all jumbled up and things, and building up the surface using marks inspired by that idea. And you can see me, I'm constantly working on different areas of the picture. I don't really pause or stop at any point. I just continuously keep looking and drawing, looking and drawing, looking and drawing, and noticing things as I move across different parts of the picture. And you'll see me I zoom in with the camera in a little bit. I'm sorry about my head being in the way. Basically, what happened there was I was actually standing for this as well, because I felt that this piece being quite large, I needed to be higher up and above the work rather than at an angle sitting down, and therefore not being able to see the perspective. So I do recommend doing that, like standing up, or even if you've got an easel at home, put it on an easel, because you can step back away from the picture, and you can then hold up your photograph or whatever you're working from, and you can see how it compares quite quickly. If you're out on the street, of course, you can also step back from your picture. Another little tip, which quite a few of my students have done in the past, is to actually just take a photo of it. If you take a photo of it, you can see it from further away. You can spot areas where you need to make adjustments or improvements or whatever. So you'll see this figure at the bottom there, that man sitting down at the front. You'll see him change quite a bit. I think I move his leg at some point as well. So, using the putty rubber, you can actually pull whole areas out and then put them back in again. The paper I'm using, by the way, is quite simply, it's newsprint paper, which is really thin, light paper. But it seems to have worked quite well for this exercise, for this drawing this evening. There you go. Look, you can see me adding in more lines, and later on some of those lines get removed and then put back in again. This area at the top I quite enjoyed, because all the windows in the photograph were all sort of crossed over and things because of the double exposure in the photograph. But I've really enjoyed seeing the transformation of this drawing tonight. You saw how it was earlier, and the amount of lines and details that I've put in kind of correlate quite closely to the photograph, but at the same time they don't. They also take on a life of their own through my hand and obviously through my eye as I'm looking at the picture. So the eye, you can kind of, once you've got the basic structure of the picture, I always find that my confidence starts to grow a little bit, particularly if I'm working quickly and with a bit of vigor and stuff like that. Oh, there you go. Look, there's me adjusting the legs on the chap at the front. But once you start, if you speed up, you kind of get into the flow, and you get a bit of rhythm and things about the way you're approaching stuff. And you end up not stopping thinking, but you kind of feel your way around things, and you can get quite absorbed in just literally continuously making marks and forcing yourself just to go quickly. Keep looking at the picture, keep looking at your work,
flitting your eyes between the two areas, and you'll soon find that you get into this kind of mode of thinking. The worst thing you can do, I think, is get really precious about every single detail if you're trying to produce a drawing like this. I mean, of course, you could do every single detail of the photograph as a drawing, as a pencil drawing that's as accurate as anything. But I think, looking at the work of the artists like Jeanette Barnes and David Bomberg and the other ones that I showed you, it's interesting to see what comes out, what personality comes out through the work that you produce. And I had a lot of fun doing this. So that photo that's just appeared on there is a photo of it at one stage, so just after I'd adjusted the legs on the figure. So you can see, I just wanted to make sure that you could see the photograph or the drawing after I produced it. I did lighten it up a little bit. So some of the mid-tones have kind of disappeared out there, but I'm still pretty pleased with the effect. If I was doing this all the time, it would evolve and develop quite a lot. If I was drawing in this way every single week or whatever as part of my practice, then that'd be great. But this is certainly an excellent exercise. I think it helps to build confidence that you can produce marks, you can be loose and have fun with drawing without too much of this preciousness. It's about letting go a little bit and enjoying the process of drawing, which is fantastic. So have a go if you've not had a go yet, and please let me see what you produce. And if you're in the class, put it on the Facebook group. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye. Bye-bye.